Everyone enjoys a little bit of Pokemon every now and then. Who doesn't enjoy squeezing wild animals into tiny balls? Unfortunately, since starting a rock paper shotgun, I've been contractually prohibited from playing anything that isn't on PC, so I've not been able to get a Pocket Monster fix since last summer. This dry spell comes to an end, though, all thanks to a little game called Temtem. Successfully kickstarted in 2018 to the tune of $500,000, Temtem is developer Crema Games' Pokemon-inspired creature collection MMO, coming to PC Early Access on January the 21st. I got to give it a spin during the recent alpha test, and besides a couple of mechanical differences, it feels like Crema Games have taken almost everything from Pokemon, made it again, and given it a new paint job in a very good way. Gym leaders have been replaced by dojo masters. Pokemon centres are temporiums, and instead of getting your battling creatures to chug down potions when they're injured, you rub some delicious balm on them. As someone who's always dreamed of rubbing lotion into a Psyduck, this is all welcome stuff. There is a wealth of similar comparisons, so allow me to walk you through all of the ways Temtem is PC's answer to Pokemon. Basics first. Temtem, like Pokemon, is all about pitting cute little creatures against each other in turn-based fights. There are thousands of Pokemon now given the series' extensive history, all with different elemental types, evolutionary pathways and combat abilities. Temtem only has 141 at the moment, a nod to the classic Pokemon 151 methinks, but Crema Games plan to add more over time. Each Temtem has an elemental type which informs the moves they'll be able to use and learn. The three starter Temtems are Crystal, a crystal Temtem that looks like a tiny emerald dinosaur, Smazzy, a melee Temtem that looks like a tiny fiery monkey, and Hoochik, a mental Temtem who looks like Storm from the X-Men and a troll doll had a baby. My favourite Temtems at the moment are Smazzy, who I chose as my starter and named Horace, Genki, a wind electric type who looks like a cute fuzzy bee with giant bull horns, and Saipat, a water melee type who looks like a duck with a clamshell helmet and is number 69 in the Tempedia, so I named him Howard. I think the designs here work really well. For starters, they're very cute, which is important for this sort of game. It fuels the desire to collect as many of them as possible. They're also quite distinctive while still evoking the design from the likes of Pokemon. If you were to list the top iconic elements of Pokemon, you'd probably go 1. Pikachu, 2. The Pokeball, 3. That clip of Brock using a frying pan as a drying pan.
I'll use my trusty frying pan as a drying pan.
4. The fact that every single person you encounter in the wild wants to challenge you, a literal child, to violent combat. As you wander the wilds between towns, your path will be lined by hikers, fellow Temtem tamers, which sounds crazy now I say it out loud, and many other folk all itching for a beatdown on the pets of any child who makes the mistake of walking into their line of sight. Like in Pokemon, once you've made these aggressors regret their words and deeds by absolutely rinsing them in a Temtem battle, you won't need to fight them again when you cross paths. Likewise, on your journeys, you'll find big patches of wild grass to wade through, within which there's a random chance of you encountering some untamed Temtems to tame by throwing Tem cards at them, which are basically Pokeballs. None of this you can see the Pokemon malarkey of Nintendo's latest game. This is old school. Each patch has a particular Temtem you're more likely to find, like this bit where cute porkers with wings called Pigepics will always spawn, forcing pig lovers to grind out an encounter by jogging left and right. You'll also encounter locations like the Windward Fort, within which there's always a random chance of running into a pair of untamed scales who are angered by your existence. Unfortunately, like in Pokemon, you'll occasionally find yourself running into these encounters with nearly every step you take. There were a few moments where I was exploring the Windward Fort where I suffered a rapid succession of untamed Temtem fights to the point of annoyance. That pair of untamed scales must have had a f***ing vendetta against me because I kept getting ganked by them. This extends to the NPC encounters too. Sometimes the number of opponents blocking your path feels absurd. The game even jokes about this, with the occasional encounter out in the wild, and once again in the bloody Windward Fort, where random civilians, aware of the building being locked down by a shady organisation, still force you to fight them, and when there's a zigzag path with a goon to battle at each corner. It's all well and good to poke fun, but it's yet another example in the video game lexicon of a game joking about how annoying a gameplay thing is while still making you do the thing. This is the alpha though, and even at the end of the month when Temtem becomes available to the public, it will be in early access, so there's time to tweak and balance all of this stuff. Every entry in the Pokemon series has you up against a team, an evil organisation dedicated to doing nasty things, occasionally with morally ambiguous motivations. In Generations 1 and 2, it was Team Rocket who wanted to enslave and sell Pokemon for profit. In Generation 3, it was Team Magma, who wanted to expand how much land there was in the world by erupting volcanoes, and Team Aqua, who wanted to expand how much water there was in the world by raising the sea levels. It's a good thing we beat Team Alpha way back then, otherwise we'd be screwed right now. Oh no. Back in Temtem, we have an evil clan instead of teams. Clan Bel Soto, headed by Lady Lottie, who insists you refer to her as your ladyship. From the brief interactions I've had with Lady Lottie and Clan Bel Soto so far, it seemed like their whole jam is that there are a bunch of pompous toffs on the hunt for rare treasures. I've come to this conclusion because Lady Lottie, as well as all the Bel Soto scouts, keep referring to the native inhabitants of Denise as peasants. Lady Lottie's actual name is long-winded and posh, and she talks a lot about treasure. Besides foiling the dastardly plans of whatever team is the big bad in the one you're playing, the main objective in the Pokemon games is to traverse the landmass you find yourself on to each of the different regional Pokemon gyms, battle the leaders of those gyms, and collect gym badges to prove your worth as a Pokemon trainer. In Temtem, it's not gyms, it's dojos, and those dojos are headed by dojo masters. Like gyms, each dojo is a perilously dangerous nightmare building full of traps and more people who want to fight you, proving Temtem has the same blandest disregard for workplace regulations as Pokemon's town planners. You explore the dojo, fighting other Temtem tamers trying to reach the dojo master, and also members of the dojo put there to ensure you're strong enough to face the master. Then it's just a matter of kicking the dojo master's ass and moving on to the next dojo. I found myself having to backtrack a lot in the first dojo in Arisala, because fights with the other tamers leading up to Sophia, the dojo master, left me with half of my Temtem squad injured or unconscious. The fight itself was also quite challenging, and it was a few attempts before I beat Sophia. This might just be the difficulty of the game, or because in order to see as much as I could before the alpha clothes, I didn't grind that much. Either or, it was challenging in a good way. When your Temtems get injured in battle, you'll need to heal them up. You can do this by using items like balms and elixirs on them to restore their HP, or you can take them to a Temporium, Temtem's equivalent to the Pokemon Center. They're laid out a little differently here, with machines that you plug your Tem cards into in order to heal your Temtems up free of charge, storage for any Temtems you catch if you've got a full squad of 6 already, and a shop where you can buy extra bombs, scent vials, which work in the same way that Repel in Pokemon does, reducing the chance of untamed Temtem encounters, and Tem cards. Something I like about Temtem's revival stations over handing your Pokeballs to Nurse Joy's in Pokemon is the animation for it is a lot quicker. When I'm trying to get past a tricky fight and keep having to return to the Temporium to heal my Temtems up, it removes some of the faff you get when waiting for Nurse Joy to heal your Pokemon up. It's more streamlined, and this is very much appreciated. Temtem's combat system is very much similar to Pokemon in a number of different ways. Each tamer takes turns picking what moves their Temtems will take that round, be they attacks, status effects, or using items from your backpack. Each Temtem has a different elemental type, and some elemental types are weaker and stronger to other elemental types. Fire is good against nature and weak against water. Water is good against fire and weak against nature, and so on. Like Pokemon, it's basically an elaborate game of rock, paper, scissors, complex enough to keep it interesting, but straightforward enough to keep it accessible. Each ability one of your Temtems can perform has a priority rating, impacted by both the type of ability it is and the Temtem's speed rating. If it's high priority, then the move will be carried out before the low priority ability. For instance, Genki's DC Bolt attack is quite a high priority move, so it will usually go off before any other Temtems move. Where Temtem's system differs is, while you could take part in 2v2 battles in Pokemon already, every battle in Temtem is a double battle. Fights can consist of you and your opponent fielding 2 of your Temtems at once, you and a buddy fighting 2 other tamers, or a mixture of the 2. This means you have to think about Temtem synergies, which Temtems work better together, and being able to buff your other Temtems using some status effect abilities like Pigepic's Bamboozle move, which invalidates the next action taken against the Temtem you target it with, adds a new layer of strategy. One of the biggest departures Temtem makes from its inspiration is that unlike Pokemon, it's an MMO. Temtem gives you an emote system which allows you to non-verbally communicate with other players you'll find wandering about the world, and you can also trade Temtems and items with these other tamers, as well as challenging them to both casual and ranked battles. Despite sporadically encountering other players wandering about and doing their own thing, I only caught the attention of 1 or 2 and couldn't find someone who wanted to battle with me. So in terms of how successful this multiplayer aspect is, it's too early to say. I did notice that there was an empty slot in my character menu that seems to denote what club I'll be a member of, which I can only assume will be Temtem's equivalent of a guild. Having only played so much, I don't know how this system would work or what it will look like, but it will be interesting to see how it fares once the game goes live. There have been fan-made Pokemon MMOs before that have been quite popular before Nintendo have taken them down, so it's a feature that people at least appear to be looking for. It's definitely early days for Temtem. The character creator doesn't assign gender to the 2 body types you have to choose between, and separately of them you can pick your pronouns, which includes they, them, and between 2 different voices, which is really great and commendable. But despite picking she, her, the game currently thinks I'm a guy. Just like in real life. You'll also come across a few buildings with work in progress signs hanging from their doors, like this one, which I believe will eventually be a hotel where you can get the climbing gear you need for these rock walls. Despite this, Temtem is a tremendous amount of fun already, and though I've yet to see the full potential of its online features, I suspect they'll give it an advantage that pits it as a solid contender against its inspiration. It also finally gives PC players a game to play when they're craving a Pokemon fix without it being a fan game that gets shut down by Nintendo as soon as it breaks into the mainstream. It should be interesting to see how Temtem fares with the general gaming public when it comes out in early access on Steam on the 21st of this month. It's definitely a game we have our eyes on. Were you able to get into the Temtem Alpha? If so, let us know what you think and what your favourite Temtem is in the comments. On your way down there, why not like this impressions video and subscribe to Rock Paper Shotgun while you're at it for more videos like it. If you're new to the channel and you want to know what we're into, you can check out our 12 favourite games from 2019 and 20 of the games we're looking forward to this year by clicking on the links on the screen now. Cheers very much for watching, and hopefully see you again soon.